Ladies and gentlemen, friends and seekers of hope, we all face moments when the road ahead seems uncertain. The future stretches before us like an uncharted path, sometimes bright with promise, sometimes shadowed by doubt. But I'm here to tell you today, do not fear what's next. Fear of the future is something that touches every life. We wonder, will I succeed? What if I fail? What if things don't work out the way I planned? But let me remind you, the future is not something to fear. It's a promise waiting to be fulfilled. Each of us was created with a purpose. There's a plan for your life greater than you can imagine. The challenges you face today are not roadblocks, they are stepping stones. The disappointments you endure are not dead ends, they are detours, guiding you towards something greater. Fear whispers lies into our hearts. It tells us we're not enough. It says we'll never overcome. But the truth is, courage comes when you believe that your tomorrow holds more promise than your past. The future is in the hands of a greater power who has never failed. If you trust that power, why should you fear what's next? Look at history. Every great moment, every breakthrough came after uncertainty. Every hero faced fear. But the difference? They moved forward despite that fear. They trusted that the next step, though unknown, would lead them where they needed to be. You see, the path forward isn't always clear. Sometimes the fog is thick and the road winds unexpectedly. But uncertainty doesn't mean you're lost. It simply means you're walking a path that requires faith. And faith is stronger than fear. Do you believe that the one who brought you this far will leave you now? Of course not. You've made it through hard days before, and you will again. The same strength that carried you then will carry you into tomorrow. So when the future feels frightening, stand tall. What lies ahead is not meant to break you, it's meant to build you. What's next could be the very breakthrough you've been praying for. The future is often seen as a vast unknown stretching beyond our sight, filled with possibilities we cannot predict. For many, this uncertainty stirs anxiety and fear. We wonder, what if things don't turn out the way I hope? What if I fail? What if I'm not prepared for what lies ahead? But the future is not something designed to be feared. In truth, it is a promise waiting to unfold, a promise that holds opportunities, growth, and fulfillment beyond what we can currently imagine. Fear distorts our vision of what's ahead. It makes the future look like a threat, something to dread rather than anticipate. But the future is not a threat. It's an invitation. Each new day brings with it fresh chances to learn, to grow, and to step closer to the person you were meant to be. The very fact that time moves forward means that life is designed for progress. The next moment, the next day, and the next year are not there to trap you in uncertainty, but to offer you new beginnings. When you look ahead with fear, you are believing a lie that what's coming could be worse than what's behind you. But why should you expect that? If you have come this far, enduring trials, overcoming obstacles, and learning from mistakes, what reason do you have to think the future will be any different? Every experience you've had up to this point has prepared you for what comes next. The future is a continuation of that preparation, a chapter waiting to be written with the wisdom you've gained. Consider how many times the best moments in life followed uncertainty. A child takes their first step, unsure if they will fall, but they walk. A student faces exams, unsure if they'll pass, but they learn and grow. An artist creates, unsure if the world will accept their work, but they express their vision anyway. The beauty of these moments lies in the risk of the unknown. Without stepping forward, without embracing what's next, none of these breakthroughs would happen. Fear says, stay where you are, it's safer here. But staying still means missing out on the promise of what could be. The future is a canvas, and fear wants you to believe your brush is too small to paint something beautiful. But you were created with the ability to shape what's ahead. The potential inside you is meant to meet the opportunities of tomorrow. Each step forward unlocks possibilities that fear tries to hide. Life itself moves forward. Seasons change, time passes, and the world keeps turning. The future's promise is woven into this rhythm of progress. What's next holds lessons you need, relationships that will shape you, and opportunities that will define you. If you see the future as a threat, you'll miss these gifts. But when you believe it's a promise, you'll walk forward with hope, ready to embrace what's waiting. The future is not a threat to be feared. It's a promise calling you to become all you were meant to be. Uncertainty is a part of life that no one can escape. We all face moments when the path ahead seems unclear, and questions about the future weigh heavily on our hearts. During such times, it's easy to become overwhelmed, doubting our ability to move forward. But when you recognize that your life has a purpose, uncertainty loses its power to intimidate you. Purpose brings clarity in the midst of confusion. It gives direction when the road ahead is hidden. When you know that your life has meaning, you can face uncertainty with confidence because you trust that every experience, every challenge, and every delay is shaping you for something greater. Purpose transforms how you see the challenges in front of you. What may seem like an obstacle is often a necessary part of the journey. Growth rarely comes from ease, it comes from struggle. Each setback becomes a setup for something more significant. Every unanswered question becomes an opportunity to trust the process. When you understand that your life has a purpose, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin asking, "What is this preparing me for?" The challenges you face are not random. They are part of a larger plan designed for your growth. Think about the times you've been stretched beyond your comfort zone. Perhaps you faced rejection, failure, or loss. In the moment, those experiences felt painful, even unbearable. But looking back, you can see how they shaped you. They strengthened your character, deepened your wisdom, and refined your perspective. Without those moments, you wouldn't be the person you are today, and the person you are today is exactly who you need to be to step into what's next. Uncertainty, then, is not something to fear. It's a sign that you are on a path worth walking, a path that requires growth before the destination is reached. Purpose gives you the strength to keep moving forward, even when you don't know exactly where you're headed. It allows you to trust that the process is working for you, not against you. The delays, the detours, and even the disappointments are shaping you for what's to come. Some of the most significant breakthroughs in life come after seasons of uncertainty. When you feel stuck, it's often because you are being prepared for a leap forward. The waiting period is not wasted time, it's preparation time. What you learn in uncertainty equips you for the opportunities ahead. Your purpose requires a strong foundation, and sometimes that foundation is built in the quiet, uncertain seasons. Purpose also shifts your focus from fear to hope. Instead of being paralyzed by what you don't know, you become excited about what could be. You start to see uncertainty as a blank canvas rather than a closed door. Every question mark becomes a space for possibilities. When you live with purpose, you understand that life's twists and turns are not random. They are part of a story still being written. A story where every chapter has meaning. The future may be uncertain, but when you know your life has purpose, you walk forward with confidence. You may not know every detail of what's coming, but you trust that everything you encounter is preparing you for something greater. Fear has a way of creeping into our thoughts, whispering doubts that can hold us back from stepping into the future with confidence. It tells us that we're not capable, that we'll fail, or that we'll never overcome the challenges ahead. Fear magnifies uncertainty, making the unknown seem dangerous and intimidating. But fear is a liar. It whispers falsehoods designed to keep you stuck where you are, robbing you of the opportunities waiting for you. On the other hand, faith speaks truth. Faith reminds you of who you are, what you're capable of, and that there's a plan for your life far greater than anything fear could threaten. Fear and faith both speak into our lives, but it is up to us to choose which voice we will listen to. Fear focuses on the worst-case scenarios, clouding our minds with what-ifs that rarely come to pass. It says, what if I'm not good enough? What if I fail? What if I lose everything? These questions create anxiety and keep us from taking the steps we need to grow. But faith flips those questions. Faith asks, what if I succeed? What if this step leads to something incredible? What if everything works out better than I imagined? Choosing faith over fear doesn't mean you'll never feel afraid. It means you won't let fear make decisions for you. Faith acknowledges the risks, but believes the reward is worth it. Fear says, stay where it's safe. But faith says, step forward. There's more for you ahead. Faith believes that even when the path is unclear, it leads somewhere worthwhile. Fear thrives in uncertainty because it tries to convince you that the unknown is dangerous. It wants you to believe that if you can't see the outcome, you shouldn't take the risk. But faith knows that uncertainty isn't a sign of danger, it's a sign of potential. The greatest opportunities are often found on the other side of uncertainty. Every breakthrough, every new beginning requires stepping into the unknown. Faith gives you the courage to take that step, trusting that what lies ahead is worth the risk. Think of the moments in your life when you pushed past fear. Perhaps you took on a challenge you weren't sure you could handle, made a difficult decision without knowing the outcome, or trusted yourself in a situation where you could have given up. Looking back, you realize those moments were pivotal. They led to growth, success, or lessons that shaped you. Faith carried you through those times, reminding you that fear's lies had no real power. Faith also speaks truth about your ability to overcome. Fear says you're too weak, too flawed, or too late. Faith says you have everything you need within you. It reminds you that strength isn't the absence of struggle, it's the ability to keep going despite it. Faith believes in progress even if it's slow, and it trusts that setbacks are temporary. The truth is, fear will always try to speak, but when you listen to faith, you hear a different story, one of hope, strength, and endless possibilities. Faith speaks truth that fear cannot silence, giving you the courage to step into the future without hesitation. Life is a journey filled with both victories and challenges. Along the way, we encounter moments that test our strength, shake our confidence, and make us question whether we have what it takes to keep going. In those moments, it's easy to focus on our fears about the future. Will I be able to handle what comes next? What if I'm not strong enough? But when you take a step back and reflect on your past, you realize something powerful. You've overcome before, and you will overcome again. Your past victories are more than just memories. They are proof of your resilience. Think about the obstacles you faced. Maybe it was a difficult decision, a loss, or a time when everything seemed to be falling apart. In the moment, those challenges felt overwhelming. You may have doubted yourself, wondered if you'd make it through, or even thought about giving up. But you didn't. You pushed forward. You made it through the hard days. And that strength, the strength that carried you then, is still within you today. Every time you overcame something you once thought impossible, you proved that fear doesn't have the final say. Those victories, whether big or small, stand as reminders that you are capable of handling more than you realize. They are evidence that when faced with uncertainty, you have the power to rise above it. The same determination, wisdom, and courage that got you through the past will carry you into the future. Fear has a way of making us forget how far we've come. It focuses our attention on the unknown, on what could go wrong or what might be too difficult. But when fear whispers, "What if you can't handle this?" you have an answer. I've handled tough times before, and I came out stronger. You see, the victories you've achieved weren't just about overcoming the moment. They were preparing you for what's next. They built a foundation of confidence that no amount of uncertainty can shake. Your past triumphs also remind you of the growth that comes from struggle. The lessons you learned during tough times are tools you now carry. You're wiser because of the mistakes you made and the setbacks you experienced. You're stronger because you kept going when giving up would have been easier. The future may bring new challenges, but it cannot take away the strength you've gained from your journey. Sometimes we underestimate our progress because we're always looking ahead to the next challenge. But pause for a moment and reflect. You've already overcome things you once thought you couldn't. You've faced hard days and are still standing. That is proof that you're capable of handling whatever comes next. The future may be uncertain, but your ability to overcome is not. So when you find yourself fearing what lies ahead, remember what you've already conquered. Let your past victories be the evidence that you have everything it takes to face tomorrow. The same strength that carried you before will carry you again, because you are stronger than your fears, and your future holds more promise than your past. Uncertainty is an inevitable part of life. There will always be moments when the future seems unclear, when the next step feels risky, and when doubt begins to creep in. In those moments, fear can easily take hold. Fear thrives in the unknown, convincing you that because you can't see the outcome, you shouldn't move forward. But uncertainty doesn't have to be a reason to fear. In fact, it's a space where faith has the power to shine the brightest. When faced with uncertainty, what you truly need is not fear. Faith is what allows you to take the next step even when you can't see the whole path. It's trusting that there is purpose in the process, even when the destination isn't yet visible. Fear demands certainty. It insists on guarantees. But faith moves forward without having all the answers. Faith believes that even when the future is unclear, there is still hope, opportunity, and purpose waiting on the other side. The truth is, some of the most meaningful moments in life happen when you step into the unknown. Growth happens there. New beginnings happen there. Every great story of success and breakthrough involves a moment of uncertainty where the decision to move forward required faith. If you wait for certainty, you'll wait forever. The road ahead will never be completely clear, but faith doesn't need the whole picture. It just needs the belief that the next step matters. Fear will tell you that uncertainty means danger, that if you don't know what's ahead, it must be something bad. But faith flips that perspective. Faith says that the unknown is filled with possibilities. The things you dream of, the opportunities you hope for, and the growth you long for are all hidden in the parts of the journey you haven't walked yet. To reach them, you have to trust the process. You have to believe that the unknown isn't empty, it's full of potential. Think about the times in your life when you achieved something you once thought was out of reach. You didn't get there by having all the answers. You got there by believing in the next step. Even if you didn't know how everything would work out, you moved forward. You trusted that something good could come from the risk. And looking back, you can see how that faith paid off. The progress you made, the lessons you learned, and the person you became were all the results of stepping into uncertainty with faith. Uncertainty also tests your belief in yourself. Fear says you're not capable. Faith reminds you that you are. Faith says you have been equipped with everything you need to handle whatever lies ahead. You may not have all the answers now, but you have the strength, resilience, and determination to figure it out along the way. When you view uncertainty through the lens of faith, you stop seeing it as something to fear. Instead, you see it as an opportunity to grow, to discover, and to become the person you were meant to be. Faith believes that the best parts of your story are still unwritten, and it gives you the courage to keep turning the page, even when you don't know what comes next. Throughout history, the most remarkable breakthroughs have come after seasons of deep uncertainty. Before every great success, there is a period of questioning, fear, and doubt. This pattern is true in every story of triumph because uncertainty tests us. It challenges our determination, stretches our faith, and refines our character. The moments when the future feels most unclear are often the very moments just before everything changes. Fear may rise in these times of uncertainty, but it is not fear that defines your future. Courage does. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward despite it. Every person who achieved something extraordinary faced moments when fear whispered, "What if you fail? What if you're not enough?" But what set them apart was their willingness to take the next step anyway. They chose to believe that the unknown held possibilities worth pursuing, even when the outcome wasn't guaranteed. Breakthroughs don't happen by standing still. They happen when you push through the fear and take bold action. Fear tells you to wait until everything is certain, until every risk is removed and every question is answered. But if you wait for perfect clarity, you'll never move. The truth is, clarity often comes after you take the step, not before. The path becomes clear as you walk it. Courage means trusting that movement brings answers. It means believing that progress is made one uncertain step at a time. Consider the stories of innovators, leaders, and everyday people who made a difference. The moments that defined them were not free of fear, they were full of it. But they stepped forward because they knew that fear could not have the final word. What they achieved came after uncertainty, after sleepless nights, after failed attempts, after doubt crept in. But they didn't let fear define their decisions. They chose courage, and the breakthrough came. This same principle applies to your life. The season of uncertainty you may be facing right now could be the preparation ground for something incredible. Fear may try to convince you that the unknown is something to avoid, but it's in the unknown where the greatest opportunities lie. What feels like a delay could be a time of preparation. What feels like a setback could be setting you up for something bigger. The key is to keep moving, to choose courage over fear. Courage means believing that you are capable, even when fear says you're not. It means trusting that what you've been through has prepared you for what's ahead. Every challenge you've overcome, every lesson you've learned, has strengthened you for this moment. The uncertainty you're experiencing isn't a sign that you should stop. It's a sign that you're on the brink of something new. Breakthroughs happen when you refuse to let fear hold you back. They come when you take a chance, believe in yourself, and trust the process. Fear may be loud, but courage speaks the final word. The breakthroughs you seek are on the other side of uncertainty, waiting for the moment you choose to move forward with boldness. There comes a time in everyone's life when the path ahead feels uncertain and the weight of the unknown becomes difficult to bear. In those moments, fear often creeps in, whispering doubts and convincing us that we're alone. But the truth is, you are never truly walking alone. Strength is found not only in your own abilities, but in trusting a power greater than yourself, a force that has guided you this far and will continue to lead you through whatever lies ahead. When you look back on your life, you'll see that the most challenging times were not faced by your strength alone. There were moments when you felt weak, unsure, and ready to give up. Yet somehow, you made it through. How? Because there was something greater than your fear sustaining you. Hope, faith, and an inner resilience placed there by a power that knows your potential even when you doubt it yourself. Trusting in something greater than yourself doesn't mean you won't face obstacles. It means you believe those obstacles are not the end of your story. There is a plan for your life, and though you may not see the full picture now, every step you take is guided. The difficulties you encounter aren't meant to break you, they're meant to build you. When you trust that you're not walking alone, you begin to see challenges differently. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to ask, "What is this teaching me?" There is strength in surrendering the need to control every outcome. Fear thrives when we try to predict and plan every detail of the future. But true strength comes from the realization that you don't have to have all the answers. There is freedom in knowing that your path is being directed by something far greater than your fears. The weight of the unknown becomes lighter when you trust that the one who brought you this far won't leave you now. Think about the times you took a risk, stepped into the unknown, or faced something you weren't sure you could handle. You may have been afraid, but you kept moving. That quiet confidence, the push that kept you going, came from knowing deep down that you were not walking alone. This is where true courage comes from. The belief that you are supported, guided, and equipped for every challenge you face. Trust gives you the ability to move forward even when the road is unclear. It gives you the assurance that if you stumble, you won't fall too far. You'll rise again because the strength sustaining you doesn't run out. It's a strength that carries you when your own begins to fade. Fear says, "You can't handle this." Trust says, "You were never meant to handle it all alone." You are stronger than you realize, not because you have all the answers, but because you are connected to a power that never fails. The same force that has carried you through yesterday's storms will lead you into tomorrow's victories. When you trust in that truth, fear loses its grip, and you gain the strength to keep moving forward, knowing that you are never walking alone. Hope is one of the most powerful forces in life. It's the quiet belief that no matter how dark the present may seem, there's light waiting just ahead. Hope whispers that there's more to the story, that the future holds possibilities far greater than the challenges of today. When fear tries to convince you that the future is something to dread, hope steps in and reminds you that what lies ahead could be better than you ever imagined. Hope gives you the courage to look forward with anticipation rather than fear. The future is uncertain, and that uncertainty can be intimidating. Fear feeds on that uncertainty, painting pictures of worst-case scenarios and convincing you that tomorrow will bring more struggles than blessings. But hope looks at the same uncertainty and sees possibility. It believes that the unknown is not something to fear, but something to embrace. What if the best days of your life are still ahead? What if the dreams you've carried in your heart are just around the corner? Hope allows you to hold on to these questions with optimism instead of dread. Hope isn't blind optimism. It's a deep-seated belief grounded in the truth that tough times don't last forever. You've made it through hard seasons before, and you will again. The fact that you're still standing after all you've faced proves that resilience lives within you. Hope draws from those past victories and says, if you've come this far, there's nothing you can't face ahead. It shifts your perspective, turning fear of the unknown into anticipation for what could be. Think about how hope has carried you before. Perhaps there was a time when you didn't know how a difficult situation would end, yet deep down you believed things would get better, and eventually they did. That belief, that quiet confidence, is what hope is all about. It refuses to let current circumstances define the future. It says that no matter how slow progress feels, things can and will change for the better. Hope also keeps you moving. Fear paralyzes, keeping you stuck in place, too afraid to take the next step. But hope propels you forward. It gives you the motivation to keep trying, keep dreaming, and keep believing that your story isn't finished yet. The future isn't something to run from, it's something to walk toward with purpose. Hope is the spark that turns hesitation into action because it trusts that what's coming can be good. Even in times when the path seems unclear, hope provides direction. It doesn't always provide answers, but it gives you a reason to keep going. It allows you to face the unknown with a sense of purpose, trusting that there's meaning in the journey. Hope doesn't deny reality. It defies the belief that your current reality is all there will ever be. It holds on to the promise that there's more growth, more joy, and more life waiting ahead. When fear urges you to doubt, hope calls you to believe. It invites you to see the future not as a threat, but as a promise filled with endless possibilities. Hope believes that the best chapters of your story are still unwritten, and that the unknown is not something to fear, but something to look forward to with expectation. So as you stand at the edge of the unknown, remember this. Fear may try to hold you back, but it does not have to define your future. You have overcome before, and you will overcome again. Your life has purpose, even when the path isn't clear. The uncertainties you face are not barriers. They are opportunities for growth, for discovery, and for breakthroughs waiting just beyond your comfort zone. Choose faith over fear. Let courage guide your steps when doubt threatens to stop you. Trust that you are never walking alone, that a power greater than your fear is leading you forward. Hold on to hope. The quiet, steady belief that what lies ahead could be more beautiful than anything you leave behind. Your story isn't finished. The best chapters are still being written. Step into the future with confidence, not because the road is easy, but because you are ready. You are stronger than your fears, greater than your doubts, and more capable than you know. Don't fear what's next. Walk toward it with faith, courage, and hope. The future is waiting.